I hope you enjoyed Dadi Gulzar's vibrations, Dadi Gulzar's drishti, which is filled with purity, innocence, and compassion. Living in this world today, we see that each and every one is looking for something, even though there are all kinds of physical comforts in their life, and that is eternal peace and permanent happiness in one's life. Some people feel that they can find peace by going on to the top of the mountains or on the banks of the river. And some even think that when you have something plenty, you can experience happiness. But that's only an illusion. Peace and happiness are the flowers that emerges from the seed of purity. And that is why the saying is, purity is the mother of peace and happiness. When we talk about purity, we can look at it from two angles, two ways: external purity and internal purity. When I talk about external purity, what I mean is cleanliness. To some extent, I feel that external cleanliness is very important to feel the internal purity. And that is why cleanliness of the body, cleanliness of the environment, cleanliness of the atmosphere is very important. That is why it is also said, cleanliness is next to godliness. You cannot go close to God unless you prepare yourself physically clean. See, you can see in the temples that only certain people are allowed to go inside the temple and worship the idols, because they also have to maintain some kind of external purity to come close to the non-living idols. So it is very important, but internal cleanliness is what is going to bring us close to God. So what is internal purity? Internal purity is actually connected with our mind, our thoughts, our attitudes, our feelings. All these subtle aspects are connected with internal purity. And that is what is going to bring us close to God. And so let us first of all understand what is the definition of purity. How do you define purity, internal purity? So that I can check myself to what extent I have that in my life. So one of the definition I would say is a state of mind. Purity is a state of mind in which there are no any negativity or waste. Even waste thought is called impurity. The second definition, I would say, purity is not just following brahmacharya. Purity means complete vicelessness. Name and trace of any vice should disappear from our life. And thirdly, purity is also defined as original consciousness of I, which is not attached to any strings or any kind of attachment, as I am in the soul world, a pure soul. Purity also can be seen as a womb. It's a womb where all divine virtues takes birth. Purity becomes the foundation, and from there all divine virtues come out. Purity also can be understood as letting go. Letting go. A pure soul, the sign of a pure soul is they are uncomplicated. Purity is sometimes connected with innocence because it is uncomplicated. So I can look at the definition and see to myself to what extent I have brought purity in my life internally. So this cleanliness, internal cleanliness, is what is going to bring me close to God. Now, purity has many facets also. Just like diamond has many facets, purity also has many facets. Purity is also royalty. You know, when I have royalty, it's an aspect of purity. And what is royalty? A royalty means an experience of having all attainments in my life. All attainments, embodiment of all attainments. So my vision is not drawn to anything or anyone. Royal. Second facet of purity is personality. It is a personality of the Brahmins. Purity is the personality of Brahmins because we are born out of purity. It is the greatness of Brahmin life. Purity is also real beauty. You know, even if there is no physical beauty, but if I have the beauty of purity, and that is what is going to attract God towards Himself. It is the real purity, inner beauty of the soul. Purity is also double non-violence. You know, when we talk about double non-violence, what it means is, one is there is no physical violence like beating, fighting, quarreling, but also not to have violence means not to use the sword of sex lust. So it is totally double non-violence. Purity is also unity. You can judge the percentage of purity in a gathering on the basis of unity in that gathering. Unity is defined as, you know, union with one and harmony with all. And that is why, you know, Baba says in golden age, there is so much of purity that there is so much of love between each other that there is no disharmony. They show lion and the lamb drinking water from the same ponds. So when we talk about the depth of purity, we need to understand the deep meaning of all these facets. How purity is royalty, how purity is personality, how purity is reality. When we look at purity as reality, what it means, honesty. Honesty comes from truth. And so purity is very much connected with truth and honesty. So when we are able to understand the depth of purity in this context, then we know its value. Why is that? Deities are worshipped with so much bhavna by the devotees. It is because of the purity. Even like this morning, Baba said in the Murli, scientists may use their intellect to go to the moon, but they are not worshipped. They may be praised because of their achievement, but you Brahmins are worshipped because of practicing purity in our life. And one interesting aspect I was thinking was, there are many people in the world, like sannyasis, who practice purity with their own accord. They just got a thought in their mind, I want to renounce my home, and they go and stay in the forest, do tapasya, practice purity, but they do not get the inheritance of heaven because they did not practice purity according to Srimad. But we Brahmins, Baba's children, who practice purity with the recognition of God, it is God's Srimad, so I am following purity in my life. So that leads me to be part of the sun and moon dynasty or heaven. And so purity should be the priority in our Brahmin life, because it is the breath of Brahmin life. When we cease to be pure, we die from the Brahmin life. So that is why they say purity is my dharma and my karma. No matter what, even if the earth breaks, the sky falls, I am not going to let go of my dharma of purity. Sometimes people ask Brahmins, why have you adopted purity in your life? Is it because you are forced, or is it because it is you who have decided? So if somebody asks me that question, what I would say is that I realized that I am a pure soul. Nobody forced me, nobody said anything to me, but I realized that I am a pure being. I am a pure soul. So that realization has given me the power to practice purity in my life. So if I am practicing purity without this realization, so sometimes I may become weak in that aspect. So it is very important to keep in our mind that, to practice purity easily in my life, this realization is very important. Without realization, there cannot be transformation in our life. Sometimes Baba says, you children have made something impossible possible. Because what people thought that it is not possible to live in the family and yet remain pure, but you are able to do it in practical because of the recognition of who I am, who I belong to, and what I should be doing. So this is the three questions Dadi always used to ask. Who am I? Who I belong to? And what I should be doing here. So without this realization, natural purity cannot be imbibed in our life. So that is my experience. Nobody forces anyone And nobody, influences anyone to practice purity in our life. But each one of us realize that I am a being of, I am a pure being. I am a pure soul. I am child of purifier Father. And I am here to lead a pure life. That is my purpose. So when we have that recognition, it is easy to practice purity in our life. So that is one of the methods. Baba teaches us to bring purity that we have lost. And second method to bring back purity in our life is through the practice of soul consciousness. Because unless I have the awareness of myself as a soul, and I communicate, interact with others in that soul consciousness, I cannot maintain that purity in my vision, in my attitude. I remember once Amir Chand Bhai was sharing this experience. If you look at anybody uh, into their eyes straight, you may have some kind of impure thoughts in your mind. But if you look into the forehead, the soul of that person, and communicate with that person, when you are in soul consciousness, there cannot be any impurity, because soul don't have any gender. Soul is just a being of light, a pure energy. So if I want to increase my percentage of purity in Brahmin life, so the only method, very important method, easy method, is to increase my soul conscious practice. So of course, one is to become aware, whose child am I, where I have come from. But apart from that, soul consciousness is very important. And another thing, very important thing, Baba says that, Baba is praised as the giver of happiness and remover of sorrow. And so if I want to bring purity in my life, I have to make sure I don't give sorrow, I don't take sorrow. Because giving sorrow is also violence, but taking sorrow is also equally violence. It is a sin. So wherever there is an act of sin, the purity is lost. And so in order to constantly experience peace and happiness, in order to maintain constant purity in my life, I have to make sure I give happiness and I receive happiness. See, for example, somebody gives you sorrow and you take sorrow. So what does that indicate? So there is some kind of impurity in your soul. I cannot blame the other person that they gave me sorrow, but they gave sorrow because that is their action, their karma. But if I have taken sorrow, that is the sign of some kind of impurity I am holding on in the soul. Whether I react or I rebel or I take sorrow, so then I cannot become a bestower of happiness. So this is something Dadi Janki always reminds us. If I want to become Sato Pradhan, that is the ultimate degree of purity. In golden age, all souls are Sato Pradhan. In silver age, souls are Sato, 14 degrees, 2 degrees less. So that is the degree of purity is lacking. So I need to check myself. even though I don't give sorrow, but if I am taking sorrow, I get hurt. So that is also a sign of certain kind of impurity in my life. So then I cannot experience myself to be completely a pure soul. And purity and power of silence go together. When we talk about power of silence, we say that power of silence is made up of three components: pure thoughts, pure feelings, and language of the eyes. So that means without having pure thoughts, you cannot experience the power of silence. So I need to increase the purity to increase the power of silence. So power of silence is nothing but concentrated pure thoughts. Now some people ask me, what is the difference between positive thought and pure thought? How do you discriminate? How do you distinguish? Actually, positive thoughts are good thoughts, but pure thoughts are good thoughts but selfless. Selfless good thoughts are called pure thoughts. Because sometimes we may have good thoughts, but there is some selfish motive. And because of that selfish motive, we do sometimes take sorrow when our expectations are not being fulfilled. So the method to bring back purity into our life is to check myself. Am I still committing any kind of violence in the form of giving and taking sorrow? That is not an act of charity, because purity goes together with an act of charity. Purity and charity go together. So in Hindi, we use the word purity means pavitra. And then we also use another word called pavan. So what is the difference? So when there is divinity with purity, and that is complete. If there is no divinity in purity, that is not worshipped as a virtue. So divinity of the intellect, purity of the mind is equal to spirituality in personality. So I have to make sure there is purity in my mind, which is a mind in which there are no negative thoughts and waste thoughts, and my intellect beyond duality. That is called divine intellect. So when my intellect is divine, it is easy for me to attain purity of my mind, because my intellect will make proper decision about the thoughts that is coming on the screen of my mind, and I choose the right type of thoughts. Another very deep aspect of purity is it is very much connected with yoga. Yoga and purity go together. If I am not able to have powerful yoga with Baba, the reason is that there is something lacking in my purity. Purity and yoga are like seesaw. One cannot go without the other. So the present life purity, as I said, it's not just brahmacharya, it is total vicelessness. Then I am able to have good yoga with Baba now, and that good yoga, powerful yoga, will incinerate the sins of the past. So past impurity is removed by having powerful yoga now. And you can have powerful yoga now on the basis of the purity that you practice practically in your life. So this is why Baba says, don't look at only purity as brahmacharya. Each vice, lust, greed, anger, attachment, ego, laziness, and fear, all these 7 vices plus its progeny. Say you may not have anger, but you have jealousy. You may not have anger, but you may have bossiness. So that is also impurity. No, you may not be greedy, but you like something very much. Or I may not have attachment, but I have some attraction towards somebody. So these are all as subtle aspects of impurity that takes us away from Baba. So this is why it is very important for us to check ourselves deeply. If I am not able to have powerful yoga with Baba, what aspect of purity is missing within my life? If I am practicing consciously purity in this life, purity in my company, purity in food, purity in following all the maryadas and disciplines accurately, following Srimad, so then my line of intellect will be clean and clear, and it can easily be connected with Baba. So this is why it is very important that, not only we don't commit sin, but we should not even repeat the same mistake twice. So the effort to maintain my self-respect, which is an aspect of purity. When we come to Baba, how does Baba makes us realize that we are such an elevated soul? Because Baba gives us the self-respect. So when we remain seated on the seat of self-respect and perform action, so we are able to maintain that self-dignity, purity in our mind, in action, in words. So complete purity means purity on 4 levels. Purity in thoughts, purity in word, purity in action, purity in relationship, even in dream. So how do I know I have purity in my thoughts? So I can check the purity in my thoughts on the basis of soul conscious awareness, soul conscious attitude as I interact with others. Purity in words means sweetness in words, because sweetness is one of the master qualities that makes us into deities. Purity in action is checked on the basis of humility. The more the purer the soul is, the more humble they will be. And purity in action, which means relationship, is shown in the form of contentment. So you are able to remain content, and you are able to bring contentment to others, because you are an embodiment of all attainments. So if I maintain purity on all 4 levels, then there is no chance for having impurity even in my dream. If I have impure dreams, so that is also a sign that I still have sanskaras of impurity in the soul. So I need to make my yoga powerful to remove that impurity from my sanskaras so that even in dreams I am not disturbed. So once Avyakt Bapdada was taking us into more depth of purity, saying that, purity in my attitude, purity in my vision. So how do I know I have purity in my attitudes? So constant good wishes and pure feelings for everyone. no matter how the other person interact with me or not. But from my attitude, from myself, I have constant good feelings, pure feelings and good wishes. So that is the sign of a pure soul's attitude. And then, of course, action. Even if someone gives me sorrow, I don't take sorrow, but I give them happiness because I am connected with the source of happiness. So I don't take sorrow, but I give them happiness so that they can realize themselves and transform their life. So purity is really the foundation of Brahmin life. We have to protect it at any cost, no matter what, not to let go of purity due to any reason, especially on a gross level, whether it is food, whether it is company, because once we allow little bit of freedom, then we lose that power. Then to gain back the power once again is not so easy. So it is an honor, in this confluence age, it's a great honor for us to have this purity in our life. Sometimes Baba says, I don't want anything from you children. All that I want is your donation of purity. So it is a great, opportunity for us that we can donate God something by just leading a life of purity in my thought, words, and actions. And so we should really have that self-respect. We should really have that intoxication that we are able to donate purity of our life to God in the establishment of golden aged world. So, that is why Baba always talks about purity being the foundation, purity being the breath of Brahmin life. So I should make sure, since I have become a Brahmin until now, no, I have not broken that vow of purity. It's a vow, it's a pledge that we have taken with God. Even this morning, Baba was talking about suhag. No, it's a very beautiful word. Suhag means someone who is married. So that means once they have accepted one as belonging to them, their intellect doesn't go to anybody else. So really, in that context, unadulterated love, exclusive love for Baba is real subtle purity that we maintain. In words, we usually say, mine is only one Baba and none other. But then when we sit in yoga, why is that our intellect wanders here and there? So that means there is some aspect of purity is missing. I still have the desire to take something from someone. I do not have that unlimited disinterest, So unlimited disinterest so that I can let go, I can renounce that which I understood as something which gives sorrow from the beginning to the end. And so let us protect purity, and purity will protect you. That is what they say. Those who protect purity, purity will protect them. So whatever difficulties I need to face, doesn't matter, even religious founders, to establish their religion, they went through so many difficulties. So I am also helping God. So if I have to go through some kind of difficulty to maintain my purity in my Brahmin life, we should not worry about it. Because Baba says those mothers in bondage remember Baba more than those who are free. Because they want to really come out of that bondage of impurity. They have that real lagan, real deep love for Baba, you know. So love for Baba and purity also go together. Love and purity, love and power go together. So because you have so much of unadulterated love for Baba, you don't let go of that purity. And because of that, you get the power to face whatever difficulty that comes in your life. So I would say that, so just to make sure that I respect this gift of purity that Baba has given me, and maintain that breath of purity until the last breath of my life, so that I am able to glorify Baba through purity and unity. Why Baba says purity is unity is because those souls who follow the advice of one, so naturally, by following the advice of one, there will be oneness. And oneness is that which is going to glorify Baba. And so we are very fortunate souls that God has given us the depth of purity and made us understand how to bring it into our life. I hope that, we look back into our Brahmin life once again tonight and see if there is something lacking in my purity, either in my thoughts, in my words, in my actions, or in my relationship, or any facets of purity that is missing in my life. I still have some time to fill up that gap, so that we are able to come closer to Brahma Baba and then come closer to Shiv Baba. So I just wanted to mention, the word purity also represents in one word detached and loving. Essence of purity, in one word we could say detached and loving. Live like lotus. So this is the gift I would like to give all of you today, as a symbol of purity, detached and loving. Mohini Ben gave a very simple definition of detachment. Uh, in Hindi it is called nyara. And the closest word in English is untouched. Nyara, detached, means untouched. Just like the lotus flower, it is in the water, but it is not touched by the water. So that means that is real purity, detached and loving. Sannyasis' purity is not real purity because they run away, and they go on, live on their own. This is the challenge Baba gives to the family people. Live in the family, fulfill your responsibilities, and yet remain detached and loving. You do your responsibility, you take care of your responsibility, but you are not affected. That is what is called detached, untouched. You are not affected by what other souls are going through. You are not affected by what is happening around you, because you understand this is a drama stage. Everyone is an actor. Each one is playing their own part according to their karma. We all have come together as a family, as a community, because we have some give and take, some karma. Not always to settle, but it's always good karma also sometimes. So just remember, detached and loving is real purity. So take this gift with you as a lotus flower. Doesn't matter if you are not a family person, but it is an example for all of us. It is a symbol of spirituality. It is a symbol of purity that reminds us that we are not permanent in this world. We are here as a guest. We are here today, tomorrow we have to go. So when you have that awareness, you will be detached and loving. So you will not be attached to anything. Enjoy everything. Whatever you are given, it is given for you to use, but don't try to possess. When you begin to possess what you have, that is where you get impurity. Don't possess. It is there for you to use. Enjoy it. And when it is time for you to go, you just leave it as it is. It's not mine. This is a beautiful slogan. I like it very much. See, everything belongs to me, but nothing is mine. Such a beautiful word, Everything belongs to me, but nothing is mine. That means, like, you go to a guest house, you stay there, you enjoy everything. As long as you are there, everything belongs to you. The moment you have to leave, nothing is mine, finished. So this consciousness of I and mine will disappear when you have this awareness of remaining detached and loving. I hope you will take back this lesson with you. Use everything, don't possess. Everything belongs to me, but nothing is mine because I came alone and I have to go alone. I didn't bring anything with me. I will not take anything back with me. So in that way, you will enjoy the life, enjoy the company of everything, enjoy everything that is being provided to you, but not having any kind of attachments. So just to share with you, the word for purity, each letter gives you the meaning of purity by itself. So to conclude, I just want to share this so that you can remember the essence of purity in the letter itself. So the letter P represents positivity. Purity means positivity. U, unity. R, righteousness. Purity is also righteousness. I, introversion. T, trustee. And Y, yoga. Purity is positivity, unity, righteousness, introversion, trustee, and yoga. Yoga and purity go together. So never separate purity from yoga, yoga from purity. They are connected. So in that way, we are able to reach back to our original state as we were in the soul world, a pure soul, without any strings, without any kind of attachment to anything. I am alone with God. So in that way, we are able to feel ourselves that this is just a temporary drama stage where I am playing my part and I have to just finish and return home. Okay? Om Shanti.
Om Shanti, Didi. It is very nice to meet you again. Before we start our Q&A session, I just wanted to let you know that almost 300 souls have joined us today in both Zoom and YouTube. And we have listeners from all 4 languages, English, Tamil, Mandarin, and Hindi. So without any further delay, let me read out the first question from the floor. So, Didi, this is the question. How to be doubly non-violent nowadays, since some people will continue to bully you for no reason, for example, racism in public places or workplaces, or simply provoke us to fight since they are not satisfied with something about us. So at this kind of situation, they are taking advantages on our silence. So it is practically possible to be doubly non-violent in our life with everyone.
It is possible. Nothing is impossible, provided I have, accumulated the power of yoga within myself over a period of time. If I do not have enough power of yoga, power of silence accumulated within myself, then I may not be able to confront such a situation. It is not something you can do instantly. So that is one advice I would give, that, when you are in your normal life, don't take it easy thinking life is like a bed of roses. But of course, it is challenging to live in this world today. So I must accumulate the power of yoga and power of silence as much as possible. And that automatically repels people of that nature to come close to me. They cannot take advantage of me. They will not be able to injure me. They will not be able to trouble me. They can trouble others, but they will not be able to do it because of the power of purity, the power of yoga, the power of silence that is vibrating, pure vibrations. So they are automatically repelled. So I will remain safe. But if I have not had that practice, I am in body consciousness myself, then, like attracts like. So my body consciousness and their body consciousness clashes. So this is why Baba says practice so much of soul consciousness that when people see you, they don't see your body. This will increase more. What you are saying today is nothing. This kind of situation will become even worse as we go along. So we need to make sure we practice soul consciousness, bodiless stage, Videhi stage, to such an extent when such people come into our contact, they don't see my body at all. They just see the light. They just see the energy and they just move away from me. They would not do anything. They may do something to other people, but not to me. So this is why it is very, very important for Baba's children to practice attention on soul consciousness, bodiless stage, connected with Baba. Like yesterday, Baba said, if you get an electric shock, it will throw you. But if you have the current of God within yourself, Maya will be thrown away. So I will be safe. I will not be touched by anyone. Nobody will trouble me.
Okay, Didi. Another question from the floor. It is generally easy for me not to give sorrow, but I find it challenging not to accept sorrow. It is almost always gets into the soul. By the time I realize it is too late and the feelings are already affected. Is there a yukti to minimize the frequency of taking sorrow?
Definitely, we have to stop this because this is a kind of violence I'm committing on myself. Understand, it is a violence. Taking sorrow is a violence. I am injuring myself for nothing. So, the reason why I take sorrow is because I have some expectation. And when my expectation is not fulfilled, I get hurt. That is why Baba says expectation leads to disappointment. Don't have any expectation, so then you don't need to take sorrow. And also, the third method is that you just need to understand that that person has given sorrow because of their own reason, because they may be going through some difficulties in life or whatever. It is their problem. It is not my problem. But when I bring myself into the picture, I take unnecessary. So Dadi Janki always gives one formula. The one who gives sorrow has a stone like heart, right? And if you take sorrow, you have a heart like a wax. It is not good. Both type of hearts are not good. So instead, you have a heart like gold, which means strong and soft. Strong and soft. So when somebody is giving sorrow, you have compassion for them instead of taking sorrow. So they are going through some difficult times, but they cannot express, so they are throwing on you. So you forgive them and you show compassion, and that will automatically dissolve that nature of giving sorrow. So if I can use some of these methods, I will not take sorrow. Once you don't take sorrow, they will stop coming to you because you are not a customer anymore. If you keep taking, you become a customer of sorrow, and tomorrow you have so much of sorrow, you become a businessman of sorrow also. You begin to sell sorrow to others. So we are God's children. Our Father is giver of happiness and remover of sorrow. So I should be helping God, not the other way. Yeah.
Okay, Didi. The next question: how to experience the relationship of the beloved with God, especially if you are in the body of a brother?
See, doesn't matter. It is not a brother or sister. It is the soul connection. We are Sita. Baba says you are Parvati, not as a body, that title is given. It is the soul who is Parvati. It is the soul who is the Sita. So in that context, all souls are lovers of God. He is the only beloved. That's what Baba says. I don't become anybody's lover. I am the beloved of all. So when I look at that way, if I am body conscious, I think of myself as a brother, I am in the brother's body, then I have masculine consciousness. So I cannot connect with Baba in that relationship. It is no question of gender here. It is the question of the qualities. No, beloved means the one who is the ocean of love. The one who loves everyone alike. So Baba has love for everyone. So as a soul, when I connect myself with Baba, then I can feel that exclusive love. That is the difference between the relationship of lover and beloved. Is a love of a lover to the beloved is intimate and exclusive, and that is only possible when it is soul to soul connection, nothing to do with the body. So let me forget I am a male or a female, let me become soul, and in that soul consciousness, let me create that intimacy with Baba, exclusive love, unadulterated love for Baba. Then automatically I begin to feel the relationship of the beloveds.
Okay, Didi. Okay, the next question: how to deal with someone that is too extroverted, loud, dominant, and causing diversion during Murli classes, talking and laughing unnecessarily, since it is affecting the center's atmosphere, as many BK's intellect are being pulled towards that particular soul. Kindly give a yukti on how to turn the situation positive.
So first of all, I have to, when I come to the Murli, I have to concentrate on Baba. I have to make sure that my attention is towards Murli and Baba. If I get distracted, that is my problem. Because Baba says, in the end, there will be so much of noise and so much of chaos and so much of disturbance everywhere. So we cannot tell people, you all keep quiet, then I can meditate, I can concentrate. So of course, it is not nice to have that kind of disturbance while having Murli. So, but I should not get affected. Personally, I cannot complain saying because this person is behaving like this, I cannot concentrate on the Murli. It is not correct for that person to behave like that, but I cannot give complaint about it because I should prepare myself to be able to focus no matter what is happening around me. But of course, then it is the responsibility of the instruments to talk to that person, explain that if they create that kind of disturbance, they will create a bad karma. Because pulling the intellect of so many souls away from Baba is not a good karma. So only the person responsible can talk to them personally, explain to them so that they can stop in kind of behavior. But then as a student, I don't need to complain about anyone because these things are going to happen, but then the responsibility of the instruments is to talk to such people and explain to them it is not a good karma pulling the intellect of souls. We come here to listen to God's versions. And so, in that way, they are able to understand and change themselves.
Okay, Didi. The next question from the floor, Baba says that this is the family path and that right from golden age onwards, souls have lived as couples, Lakshmi and Narayan, Rama and Sita, etc. What is the intention behind Baba's Srimad that BK souls stay unattached in the conference age?
No, it is purity because they have lived that life of purity, detachment, and loving. That purity brings purity in relationships in the future. So that is why Baba keep emphasizing on living in the family, but yet living as a trustee. Nothing is mine. Living as brother and sister, because the moment my brother sister awareness is gone, there is impurity coming in our relationship. So because we have practiced that purity while living together, so in the future we are able to have pure relationship. Otherwise, the pure relationships in the golden age, only those who have such purity will go to golden age. So that is why it is very important to remember, as souls we are brothers. So when we come into the body, we are brothers and sisters and no other relationship, because this is a spiritual family, godly family. Here we have brother, sister, mother, father. That is all. No husband, wife, no uncle, auntie. Those is worldly relationship. So we have to maintain that Srimad very precisely, accurately in our life. That is what is going to take us to golden age to have pure relationship.
Okay, Didi, the next question. How to confront or uplift someone that have a very deep-rooted sanskars of bad-mouthing everyone and talking behind their back, especially when they're playing a very important role in Baba's Bandara. Are there any ways to put a full stop to it or just surrender it to Baba as the words are very hurting and affecting the people around?
No, we have to understand that this drama, each soul, there is variety of souls, and each soul have their own sanskara and nature. And so when souls are subservient to their old sanskara, they don't realize that what they are doing is not right. So Baba in the Murli explains to us every day, don't gossip, don't talk bad about others, don't defame others. So they should be able to catch those signals and put it into practice. But of course, some souls are weak. They listen, but they cannot practice. That's why Baba says number wise according to the effort. So I should not get affected. I understand each soul have their own part in the drama, and the souls don't have so much of strength to imbibe the teachings of Baba, even though Baba says every day. So I just need to understand and remain detached, not get affected. If I start getting affected and then I start complaining, so I also show myself that I am not practicing Baba's Murli properly. So I just have to make sure I don't take the law in my hand, go and confront them. So it is, even if some teachings have to be given, it can be only told to the instrument souls, and they can, if it is really affecting the atmosphere, they can talk to them and explain to them to transform their behavior. Otherwise, I should use knowledge. Dadi Janki gave a very good point, which was very nice. Baba said, Baba gives directions in the Murli, but the scenes in the drama helps us to practice Murli in action. So when we don't have such situation, how can you practice what Baba says? So I should take it as an opportunity for me to practice what Baba says. If they are gossiping, talking bad, so I ignore it if it is not connected with me, and if it is not true. Yeah.
Okay, Didi, can we take one more question?
Yeah, last one.
Okay, last one. Some, in order to maintain purity in both physical and subtle level, they tend to minimalize their activities. For example, slowing down their walking, talking, and etc. Does this method help
For what?
to maintain their purity in both physical and subtle level?
Oh, no, this is not the right way, because if you don't talk to people, if you isolate yourself from people, so that is only you are suppressing your sanskara and nature. What Baba teaches us is to be in the family life, fulfill your responsibility, do your duties. Whilst doing all that, you have to maintain the level of your purity. In fact, family karma yoga actually will teach us how much purity we have. When you are on your own, you never know. You may be thinking you are very perfect, but only when you come into the family, when you work with other people, you come to understand what weaknesses you have, how much tolerance you have, how much patience you have. So it is important to work together, live in the community, not isolate myself in the name of bringing purity in my life. That is not real purity, that is fake.
Okay, Didi. I think we have come to the end of today's session. Thank you so much, Didi. Before we end, I would like to make a few announcements on the upcoming program. Firstly, there is a back-to-back combined regional Murli sessions this weekend. Didi Chakradari will be reading Murli on Saturday, 3rd April, and followed by Didi Nirmala on Sunday, 4th April. And the second announcement is that there will be an online regional Chinese retreat on the 10th and 11th of April. The theme for this retreat is Journey into Golden Age, and the guest speaker is Didi Nirmala. And the third announcement is that in conjunction with International Women's Day, there will be an online Tamil public program titled Penni Ni Vilithidu, Jagathe Ni Jaithidu on the 11th of April at 8 p.m. And the guest speaker is Sister Vanjani from Tamil Nadu. And finally, let us all watch this 30-second promo video on the sale of Dadi Janki's book. The rest of the details of the upcoming program mentioned earlier will be updated to all of you soon. And some of the program have already been circulated in our WhatsApp groups. So kindly take note and show your love and support to all of the upcoming program. And also not to forget our precious jewel, Dadi Janki's book. So we will end our session for tonight with a live commentary by Meera Didi and a song at the end. So sit back and relax. But before that, let me thank Meera Didi. Didi, it has been a great pleasure to have you around every month, and you have been sustaining us ever since this lockdown. So it is totally undeniable that the drama is very, very beneficial. Thank you once again, Didi, and thank you everyone for making it possible and successful. Hope to see you soon in our next Brahmin class. Om Shanti.
Shanti. So let us all sit relaxed wherever you are. If you're sitting on the floor, on couch or chair, and let us turn our mind within. For these moments, let us make our mind and intellect free from all other thoughts. I become aware of myself as a living light in the center of my forehead. I am a shining point of light, immortal, imperishable, eternal soul. I, the soul, I am the master of my body. I can come into the body, go beyond the body. Now, in 1 second, I, the being of light, I detach myself from this body and I see myself as a tiny point of light moving upwards beyond the 5 elements of matter, beyond this world of cosmos, even beyond the subtle regions, into the dimension of golden red light. I, the being of light, I am in my home, sweet silence home. I, the being of light, I see myself in the presence of Shiv Baba, in this home of infinite golden red light. Shiv Baba, the ever pure, the most almighty authority, the sun of knowledge, is radiating so much light and might. I, the soul, I receive this energy of light and might from Shiv Baba. Baba, I, the soul, I am being colored in the company of the Supreme. Baba, the ocean of peace, I have become the master ocean of peace. Baba, the sun of knowledge, has given me so much light. Together with Baba, I radiate the light of knowledge. Baba, the Almighty, fills me with all His powers. I enjoy these moments being connected with my Baba, the Supreme Soul, and allow His qualities to fill my soul. And together we radiate these vibrations of light and might out into the world. These vibrations touch each and every corner of the world. I stay with Baba, very close to Baba, in my home, the soul world, merged, lost in His love. Baba fills me with all the treasures. I am totally empowered and energized in Baba's company. And now slowly, I, the soul, return from the soul world into this corporeal world. And I see myself in this body to play my part. I am light. I am peace. I am love. And I radiate these positive vibrations all around. So I remain safe and create a safety atmosphere for everyone to enjoy. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Good night. Thank you.
पवित्र मन रखो, पवित्र तन रखो, पवित्र मन रखो, पवित्र तन रखो। पवित्रता मनुष्यता की शान है। जो मन वचन कर्म से पवित्र है, वो चरित्रवान ही यहाँ महान है। पवित्र मन रखो, पवित्र तन रखो, पवित्रता मनुष्यता की शान है। जो मन वचन कर्म से पवित्र है, वो चरित्रवान ही यहाँ महान है। बड़ा ही मूल्यवान है तुम्हारा ये जन्म, तुम्हारा ये जन्म। बड़ा ही मूल्यवान है तुम्हारा ये जन्म, तुम्हारा जन्म। जगत की कर्म भूमि में करो भले कर्म, करो भले कर्म। अच्छे रखो विचार, उत्तम करो व्यवहार। अच्छे रखो विचार, उत्तम करो व्यवहार। आदर्श व्यक्ति की ये पहचान है, जो मन वचन कर्म से पवित्र है। वो चरित्रवान ही यहाँ महान है। पवित्र मन रखो, पवित्र तन रखो। पवित्रता मनुष्यता की शान है। जो मन वचन कर्म से पवित्र है, वो चरित्रवान ही यहाँ महान है। तुम अपनी आँख में अमृत रखो विमल विमल, सदा विमल विमल। तुम अपनी आँख में अमृत रखो विमल विमल, सदा विमल विमल। तुम्हारी वाणी में माधुर्य हो सरल सरल, सदा सरल सरल। तुम हो के निर्विकार, सबका करो सत्कार। तुम हो के निर्विकार, सबका करो सत्कार। ये जन्म तुम्हारा इम्तिहान है। जो मन वचन कर्म से पवित्र है, वो चरित्रवान ही यहाँ महान है। पवित्र मन रखो, पवित्र तन रखो। पवित्रता मनुष्यता की शान है। जो मन वचन कर्म से पवित्र है, वो चरित्रवान ही यहाँ महान है। पवित्र मन रखो, पवित्र मन रखो। पवित्र मन रखो।